Good afternoon. We're delighted to announce today that MTA Board Member and Transit Committee Chair Sarah Feinberg has agreed to serve as the interim president of New York City Transit beginning March 9th. Those of you who come to our board meetings know, Sarah has been an active and enthusiastic MTA board member since February of last year and has a career in transportation that is really second to none. Sarah was the second woman to lead the Federal Railroad Administration, which acts as the safety regulator of the U.S. rail system. At the FRA, Sarah worked to bring a fresh set of eyes to many of the problems plaguing the rail industry and change the agency to be both more aggressive and innovative in its approach to designing solutions, including leveraging technology to improve safety across the country. While at the FRA, Sarah also completed and signed two of the largest loans in U.S. DOT history, one to Amtrak, and thank you, Sarah, one to the MTA, while managing a multi-billion-dollar rail investment portfolio. She also demanded that railroads across the country deliver on the proven benefits of positive train control on deadline. Sarah also served as the Chief of Staff at U.S. DOT, Department of Transportation, where she served as a strategic advisor to the Secretary of Transportation. And she was a special assistant to President Obama and a senior advisor to White House Chief of Counsel Rahm Emanuel, working on strategic responses to some of the White House's biggest challenges, including the H1N1 flu pandemic and Ebola. Finally, Sarah served as an Amtrak board member where she focused heavily on accessibility issues and during her career focused on the impacts of the opioid crisis on the transportation industry. I've personally worked closely with Sarah since she joined the MTA board a year ago. She's smart, thoughtful, innovative, and an avid advocate for mass transit. I believe she's the ideal choice to serve as interim president while we conduct a search to fill the role permanently. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Chief Operating Officer Mario Poliquin. Mario.
Thank you, Pat. Good afternoon. There's never been a more important time for solid leadership at NYCT Transit. Subways and buses in New York City are on a pattern of improving services and resurgent ridership, due in large part to dedicated employees. They're delivering through the Subway Action Plan and now unprecedented capital investment in state-of-the-art signaling and to speed trains, new train cars to make passenger rides more comfortable, and new environmentally friendly buses getting New Yorkers to destination faster on traffic-free busways and bus lanes protected by cameras. Sarah's new colleagues at Transit are a tremendous group of talented executives whom she knows well, and they know her well too. I have to say, there's no more important strength for an interim president than to have a sophisticated understanding of the organization and to be able to make impacts on day one. That describes Sarah and New York City Transit. As head of the board's Transit Authority Committee, she quite literally oversaw budget and operations of the agency. Anyone who's seen her at committee meetings knows how much she cares about the services our customers and employees deserve. The ideal candidate for the role of president would be a transportation leader with deep experience in the industry and a record of successfully running large organizations. That is Sarah. And with that, I'm delighted to introduce the interim president who will continue the success and momentum of subways, buses, and Staten Island Railway, Sarah Feinberg.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I want to thank Pat and Mario for their kind words. I've had the pleasure of working closely with Pat on the board over the last year, and I'm thrilled that we'll be working even more closely now. I've also enjoyed getting to know Mario in his new role and look forward to working closely with him. And to the team at New York City Transit, from the leadership, Sally Librera, Craig Cipriano, Frank Giesecke, Sarah Meyer, Alex Elagudin, and other members of the leadership, and to the team of more than 48,000 men and women, I cannot tell you how thrilled I am to have the opportunity to work with all of you. There is no stronger, more professional team of hardworking public servants, and I count myself lucky to be joining your team. And to our millions of riders, I hear you, I see you, and I am one of you. And I want you to know that every single day you can count on me to advocate for you and to be honest and transparent with you about the challenges we face and what it's going to take to address them. Subways and buses have made tremendous progress over the last 2 years, with subway on-time performance reaching 83% this past month, and I will be laser focused on maintaining and continuing to build on the gains that have been achieved. These gains were not easy to come by, and to be clear, there are frequently tremendous obstacles to maintaining and improving performance in our system, some of which are beyond our control. But the significant progress that's been achieved is due to the hard work of the New York City Transit team, and I want that team to know that they can always count on my full support. That brings me to my new role as interim president of New York City Transit. I am committed to tackling the challenges facing New York City Transit and delivering for our more than 8 million daily customers. To be clear, our #1 job is to champion and fight for our customers every day. To that end, one of my key priorities will be continued investment in subway performance, reductions in delays, and safely speeding up trains in certain sections of track. Improving the safety and security of the system is also crucial to our success. These gains in performance are all for naught if riders and employees don't feel safe. The added police officers the MTA is adding will be deployed strategically throughout the system and focused on deterrence, protection, and assistance. And our #1 goal is that all New Yorkers feel a sense of safety and security when they ride with us. ADA accessibility will also continue to be forefront at transit. The 70 new stations advanced as part of the historic capital plan will make a big difference, but it's not nearly enough. This is an issue I take seriously and is close to my heart. Improving accessibility has to be a priority at every single turn. I know that the board, the MTA leadership, and our political leadership agree with me on that priority, and I pledge to continue to prioritize accessibility in my role as interim president. I will also continue to invest in many of the programs that are working. The bus redesigns are imagining bus networks for the future of the city. Some of the networks across the 5 boroughs haven't been looked at in more than 100 years. These can be challenging projects because change is hard, but the North Stars are faster commutes and better service, and our bus riders deserve that. And of course, at the top of my list of priorities is helping to recruit a world-class permanent replacement who will help transform the MTA into the modern, efficient, reliable system our customers deserve. Many of you know me in my capacity as chair of the New York City Transit Committee, but I have deep roots in transportation and public service, and I can tell you that across the country, the New York City transit system remains a system that is revered and admired. I have frequently referred to it as the daily miracle, a miracle that we all have the privilege of watching unfold in this city each weekday morning and each weekday evening as millions of people get to work, get to school, and then get back home safely to their loved ones. To be clear, this miracle is only possible because of the team at New York City Transit. I am so honored to be joining it, and I'm excited to get started. Thank you.
Questions? And Jay.
How does it feel to be following in the footsteps of Andy Byford? You know, they called him Train Daddy in this city. Will there be a hashtag for you?
Well, I'll leave that to New Yorkers. I got to know Andy very well, obviously, when I was chair of the Transit Committee. I enjoyed working with him, thrilled to be stepping in, and so excited to get to work.
Hey, Sarah.
Hey.
So 2 questions. I know that you've been approached in the past about roles at the MTA. So I'm wondering 2 things. Maybe this second question is for Pat, but what convinced you ultimately to take this role on, and how long do you think it'll be for?
Look, I've long said this is one of the best jobs in transportation in America. This might actually be the best job in transportation in America. There is no bigger thrill than being able to deliver for 8 million riders a day. I mean, that's incredible. You can't do that anywhere else. So I'm super excited to jump in and thrilled to be a part of it. You know, jobs like this don't always make sense for people who have small children, which is where I am in my own life. And so this is the right thing to do on an interim basis. I could not be more excited. But speaking for myself personally, this is not something I can do in the long term. But want to continue to be a part of doing everything I can to help the system.
Congratulations, Sarah.
Thanks.
Will you be staying on the MTA board?
No, so I'll step back from the board in order to take on this role.
Pat, this would be for you. Does Governor Cuomo know about this? And if so, what was his response when you told him that Sarah would be the new acting chair?
Well, look, it was my recommendation. It was my recommendation and decision, having worked with Sarah over the last year. And of course, as you're gathered here at Fulton Station, obviously the governor's aware and supportive. I have a long-standing policy of not commenting on discussions or meetings with the governor. That was my policy at the port. It's my policy at the MTA as well. Member of the media? Okay. Sorry? Well, look, there are benches in subway stations. I can tell you that 106 of the 472 stations have been deep cleaned last year. Last night, Mario and I spent several hours at stations on the Upper West Side of Manhattan, which are being deep cleaned. The point being that we're really focused on quality of life and the quality of the customer's life. It's been one of the paragons of Sarah's service as chairman of the Transit Committee. And that focus is going to continue at New York City Transit, Long Island Railroad, Metro North, buses and bridges and tunnels. Paul.
Hi. Just two questions actually for Sarah. Kind of David asked it, but how long do you anticipate staying in this role for?
Look, let's take every day as it comes. I don't have a timeline, but look, one of my top priorities is going to be recruiting and finding a person who can take on this role in a long-term permanent capacity.
Okay, and then the other question is, in terms of running the Transit Authority, I know you have a great deal of experience running large organizations, but what about operational experience? Do you have any experience running, bus and train systems in the largest city in the country?
Well, you've known me for a long time, so you know the answer to that question, which is I have a lot of experience running big organizations, but not a ton on the operational side. Look, I'll say one of the things that I said when I was brought on to be the administrator of the FRA. MTA is not lacking in engineers and folks who are expert in track and maintenance and operating trains. The moment now is to lead the organization.
Hey, New York 1, this is for anyone who can field it. Does the MTA have any current plans to combat the spread of coronavirus? Any measures that are going to be going into place?
Yeah, we've been following the development of the coronavirus across the world. We've been in contact with the CDC and with the Department of Health at the state level. We happily, there's no serious threat that is extant right now in New York City and New York State. Obviously, the CDC raised the alarm today, given the increases in countries around the world. We've got a daily call first thing in the morning with each of the agencies, including New York City Transit, subways and buses, Long Island Railroad, Metro North, bridges and tunnels, et cetera. We're really focused on this and are doing everything we can to protect the health of our millions of customers and 70,000 employees. That's job one.
Is there anybody else?
Okay,
Okay,
great.
thank you.